Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Spin from the Real, a Schmoedown reaction show. My name is Chris Anthony Lopez. That's me right there. Matt will be joining us in a little bit. But while you're here, go ahead and follow us on Twitter at Spin from the Real and subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and like the video, share this all over the place. We're going to be pretty popping today. We have a lot going on the program. Not only are Matt and I going to talk about the awards. The Schmoedown Awards happened this past Friday. We're going to just give our brief thoughts on the show itself, maybe some of the winners, and I know I want to talk about that Kevin Smith speech because, Kevin. And then we have three guests technically coming on the show today. We have Sunny and Kat coming on in about 15 minutes, and then we have Marie E. Wilson coming on the show at 5:45 Central, 6:45 Eastern. So that's going to be going on today. I know in our our David Campbell video, our David Campbell interview that went up earlier today. So go ahead and check that out if you're looking for another Schmoedown rookie that is making waves in the Schmoedown community. We said Jacob London was going to be on the show today, but Jacob London, he had some personal things come up with work, so he couldn't make it today, but we're hoping to get him on the channel sooner rather than later. LGR in the chat. LGR was robbed. Sorry, Suge. If we could just take it a step further, like Spin from the Real wasn't even nominated, so be grateful, Suge. Be grateful. But either way, we're going to talk about some of the awards. And Taylor in the chat, what's going on, Taylor? Thanks, dude. For our audio listeners, Taylor says, looking good on the full screen, Chris. He's too kind. Taylor's too kind. You're way too kind. I really appreciate it, though. So we have a lot to cover on the program today. But, might as well just start talking the awards, right? Because the awards, the Schmoedown Awards, happened this past Friday. It's really the first of the next 3 weeks that are just going to be absolutely mind-boggling if you're a Schmoedown fan. And they eased our way into these next couple weeks because this upcoming Friday's free agency special. Oh, God. And I know Matt and I, we're going to have some things to talk about later in the show about what we're doing for the free agency special. And then the next Friday is going to be the draft on the 29th. Yeah, on the 29th is going to be the draft. That's going to be really cool as well. But Matt and I will talk about that next week because we have a show to do right now. And free agency is this Friday, so we got to cover that first. But the awards happened this past Friday, and I don't know about y'all, but I really dug the awards. The awards this year, it was contained, obviously, because of the coronavirus and the pandemic going on right now. Wear your masks, folks. And they did it live. It was kind of hard for me to tell. If you know in the chat, please let me know. But it was done in a way where they had the competitors, the winners of their categories, pop on and give their little speeches because everybody deserves to chat at least for a little bit. And the season that was season 7, honestly, one of my favorite seasons of the Schmoedown, maybe because of the format and the faction aspect and everything going on around it. I loved season 7. And I thought these awards were awfully crucial to chat about. Matt and I, we did our predictions last week on the unprecedented almost 4-hour show that was Spin from the Real. Thanks to everyone once again for hanging out with us last weekend. But this time around, maybe we're not going to do 4 hours. We could if we tried. But we did our predictions last week. And for the most part, Matt and I were pretty on the money. Or we agreed on a decent amount of them. And the big takeaway, well, there were a few big takeaways from the show. Faction-wise, how can you not say corruption? Corruption was just taking awards left and right, whether it's Manager of the Year, Faction of the Year, or so many other things. Shout out to Taylor in the chat. All 4-hour podcasts shall thus be known as the Long Lopez. I don't know about that, but how many 4-hour podcasts have I done on this channel? I don't think I've done too many. At least I don't think so. Leo Logan in the chat, what's going on, Leo? Shannon drafting Dewberry was robbed for Moment of the Year. Yes. I forget what won. Oh, it was Dan. Dan Merle. I won? Yeah. It was a great moment, totally. I would have given it that award after Dewberry and after the Bibbs and Draco moment as well. So I don't Nah, like it's a great moment, of course, and it's Dan. It's hard to argue against Dan with anything. So, I mean, that's just my 2 cents. Taylor in the chat as well. Oh, here we go. When you were on Really Scared, we nearly went 4. Don't think it's a coincidence. When was I on Really Scared? Now I'm trying to think of when I was on Really Scared. Really Scared, by the way, is our horror podcast. You can check every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So I'm not on it. Taylor in the chat, that guy, Cheddar Goblin, he co-hosts with Connor Breedlove. Go ahead and check that program out on this very channel or social media, however you're watching. So, no, I totally agree, Leo Logan in the chat. Dewberry was robbed for a moment of the year, truly. It set the precedent for how it's just a precedent for the whole season in my eyes, and I was just surprised at Dan winning because of giving it to something else. Ooh, we got a wild Matt Thomas in the freaking stream. What's going on, dude?
Not much. I see the LGR was robbed comment.
Yeah, Suge was coming in here hot to start the show. Leo Logan in the chat, and Taylor's out here calling me out for 4-hour shows. I don't remember. Maybe it's my memory. I don't remember being on Really Scared Devil all the time. I don't not believe you, Taylor. I just don't remember. So that's my own fault. And as I mentioned, Really Scared. Go watch their show tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. They talk about. They bring guests on. They talk about a horror movie of their choosing. Tomorrow, Taylor, I don't know exactly what movie you're doing. So can you please let the people know in the chat, and I'll happily share it on screen. But the awards in general, it was corruption's night. It's hard to not say corruption unless your name's Kevin Smets. Kevin Smets stole the whole evening, but at the same time, what else do we expect out of Kevin Smets? Yeah. Because, my God, that's the main reason why I wanted to open the show talking about the awards, because Kevin, oh my God. I remember I was doing Wrestle Reel. I was on this channel doing Wrestle Reel last week, so I missed the first half of the awards. But the first award that I got to see when we got back, when I got done doing the show, was Kevin and him doing the Yodi Award acceptance speech. And, Lord, it was, God. That man has gone through so much in the last year that I will never understand.
Realistically, it was 8 months.
Yeah, but the fact that he's still so engaged in the community and he's still out here responding to tweets, being
hinting at being a co-manager.
Yeah, talking about the dungeon and how he's going to help the dungeon win the action war next year or this year. There's just so much going on with Kevin Spence's life, and the fact that he still dedicates so much time to the Schmoedown it's so inspiring to me. This man doesn't have to do any of that. He doesn't. It's as simple as that. And the fact that he is speaking so highly of the Schmoedown, all the fans, all the people in the after show, Taylor in the chat saying Smets is the man, 1,000%. And it's so, and maybe this is just emotional on our end, and we're closely tied to it because, unfortunately, Kevin's diagnosis is what got us to be buddy with a lot of these other chats because of the Smash-a-thon, which raised so much money for Kevin and his family. It's, oh my God.
And the GoFundMe is still going on, if I remember correctly.
And I love hearing that. Piggybacking off my point of moment of the year, Bibiani and Draco a second ago. A lot of these people are friends in real life. It's bigger than the Schmoedown, and just hearing Kevin shout at these people out, whether it's them sending him reps every day or them still somehow, some way helping him out financially or emotionally, and the fact that this community has just been so kind and so gracious. And I remember, Matt, when we were talking a few months ago about the Yodi Award and who should be winning that award this year, I was totally in the mindset Smets is going to come back, and our boy is talking about that he's going to come back. So I figured give it to Josh or Ken or someone.
I'm the one who said Smets.
Yeah, give it to one of them because we don't know if they come back or not. Obviously, since then we've found out if they are, which they are in an announcing capacity. But Smets' speech at the awards, damn, dude, I cannot wait for Kevin Smets to come back And I know it won't probably be for a while because my man's still going through it. But holy shit, Kevin Spence is truly mad. To echo Taylor's sentiments in the chat, like I felt like we could not talk about the awards today. But really, Matt, when I told you, hey, let's talk awards, I just want to talk about Kevin Spence. That's really what it is.
I just want to say I told you so because I literally called corruption winning those awards, even though you're like, no, everyone's talking swag. I'm like, no, everyone's talking corruption.
Oh, so you want to talk shit now? Oh, no. You want to talk shit? Okay, let's talk some shit then.
No, all I'm saying is,
look,
who was right? Who was right? That's all I want to hear. Who was right?
So we're talking shit.
No.
Play the tape back. I said I want corruption to win everything.
You said you want corruption to win. I said corruption was going to win.
Go play the tape back. Go listen to it while I talk about this for a second. So if you want to talk shit, I wasn't going to flex out here. I didn't want to because I want to talk about Smets. But now...
Anyways, folks, we are going to
not today. Not today. Yes. Not today. How much time we got? 5:15. Give me 1 second. Look, so corruption. I mean, what else do I have to say? Best faction of the year. For all the reasons I stated on the show last week, I know Matt was so adamant on not giving corruption the respect that they were given. The only reason why he said corruption was going to win is because all the people in the group chat told him to. So, I mean, I don't know what else. Like, Matt had to be convinced. Some people already know.
No, so, I'm the one who said they were going to win, and I didn't want them
because of the voices in the other group chat, in the other groups, bro.
No,
that wasn't your thought. You're out here reading the Facebook, and you're like, oh, yeah.
No, like, I'm seeing the pattern of everyone voting corruption.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It's called paying attention and doing journalistic skills. You know,
journalistic. You're opening your Facebook app on your phone.
Looking at the Facebook
journalistic.
Doing the research, seeing how people are leaning. That is still journalism.
What are you, a politician now? Like, so I know. Shout out to Joe Biden to get inaugurated today. We love you, Kamala. But no, my man Matt's out here being a politician. Like, like it's called journalistic integrity. And you have to follow these patterns. It's like, no, man.
Yo, man, real quick, you need to stop. Hold on, let me finish. You need to calm down for a minute because we do have guests, and we don't want to make a bad first impression. And if we get into it, we're going to make a bad first impression. That's why I'm trying to get you to stop. All right? You good now? You see why I'm trying to get this thing to stop?
Stop being disrespectful. Don't mute my mic, a-hole.
All right, folks. Well, without further ado, we're bringing on our first guest of the night, and that would be Kat and Sunny.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hi.
That was a little bit of a thing you got into there, but not making a bad impression or anything. It just shows devotion.
Exactly. We're all about passion over here at Spin from the Real. Yeah. If we like we can get mad at each other all we want. We know that when the show ends, I'm only gonna get for like another 10 minutes after that. But besides that, like, I would genuinely get over it. But thank you guys for coming on the show. I know like the time differences out or between y'all and here. Like, so I don't want to I just want to let you guys know we are grateful for you coming on. We really are grateful. So thank you.
And we really are grateful for you guys like that. You want to have us on your show and talk some Schmoedown because we love doing that.
100%. So I mean, just to start the conversation off, how'd you guys find the Schmoedown exactly?
Well, that's my fault, you could say. No, I've been following Christian and Mark for many years when they did Schmoedown. Is the mic okay? Do you need me to turn it up a little bit?
You're good. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. I've been following Christian and Mark for many years, and then they started doing these little trivia contests, and it evolved into the Schmoedown. So yeah, I've been following it from when it began, and then I introduced Kat to it. And that was around season 3, I think, something like that. Yes. And then we've just kind of been devoted to it ever since, and following along and rooting for all the different competitors and now factions as well. Like, so much has happened with the Schmoedown. It has really evolved, and now season 8 is coming along and has evolved even more, like even further. And like people like us from not the States can get a shot as well, maybe to be in the Schmoedown. So it's come a long way, and we love seeing its progression, definitely.
Yeah, season 3 seems to be like the turning point for a lot of people.
Thread for a lot of people. Like, this is when I got into it, and then, same for me. was around season 3, season 4, because that's when they really started doing the balance of character with the story and the actual trivia side of things. So it's very interesting to keep hearing that be the common thread.
Yes, exactly. Seeing someone like obvious like John Roca, the Outlaw, really like setting the tone with that character work from the beginning and how that has evolved as well is just as big of a part of this as the trivia part, definitely.
See, and Kat, I'm curious. So, like, Sonny obviously had been watching for a little bit, watched the first 2 seasons, and they were weird at the time. Like, looking back at them is pretty weird because they're just, they come out of this little curtain in the little tiny studio and they sit on the couch and answer questions. But like in season 3, they really opened up and got into the studio, and the production value went up tenfold. But I'm curious into what were your thoughts on the Schmoedown when you first entered? Because obviously you're possibly going to be in the thing in 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, it's just it's so weird. But I just remember this, like the first time I ever heard about it, or Sonny watching it, and I remember this question about from Dread, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, about what the drug was called that they were.
Taking,
yeah, exactly, the drug. And I actually remembered that, and I just screamed out from I was lying in bed doing something, and I was just screaming from the top of my lungs, which is like slow-mo, and I was just like, "This is fun. How can I? What is this?" And then Sonny, of course, just
showed her some matches.
Yeah, and I was just like, "This is fun. I like movie trivia because." Yeah, that's cool. And then the whole character thing kind of grew on me. At first, I was just only interested in the trivia part, but then everything else, like team action and, of course, my own personal favorites, the Shy Wolves, that was like the biggest thing for me.
So, how did you guys actually get involved in the draft list? Like, how did you do audition tapes? Did you get asked yourselves? What was that process like?
Well, that was actually Christian who contacted us, because I'm not exactly sure why, other than like we've in some of the videos on our channel, I've been wearing some Schmoedown related stuff and SEN shirts like So Sorry Lex. I know he kind of noticed that, and we've also met each other before because I went to the live event, the first live event.
Wow.
Some time back, and I actually traveled from Denmark to LA to watch that and to be there for the first live event, and that was a really big thing. And then got to meet Christian and some of the competitors and talk to them there. So that might also be a reason why he chose to contact us and ask whether or not we were interested in being in the draft. And then, of course, that's it's just a huge opportunity just to get the chance to like talk to guys like you and be more in the Schmoedown community. That's a huge reward as well. Like, even if we don't get picked in the draft, like this whole thing has just been amazing.
True. I second that.
And I mean, like you said, you came from Denmark. So how, like, Sonny, is more of a question for you, but how did you find Christian and Mark all them years ago when they were doing reviews in front of a Rocky poster? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. Because I've always been very much into movies, and especially in the more geeky verse, Star Wars has always been my thing. Like straight out of the womb, pretty much. It was just welcome to the world. Here's Star Wars. So I've just been living and breathing stuff like that. And at that time when I was still into it, but I was also like teenager and all that, and I didn't really have any friends to talk to about all of this stuff and some of the movies that I was interested in. And then came along some of these YouTube reviewers like Christian and Mark and Jeremy Johns and Chris Stuckman, and I started listening to these guys and agreeing with them a lot. And I really liked the fact that you could put a face on these like reviewers, and it was more down to earth. It wasn't just reading some article and then you maybe forgot the name of the reviewer and it was just like a faceless review. This was something else, and it really caught on, or at least like I got really interested in that space, that YouTube space, and then I just kept on watching their videos. And as you let know, it evolved a lot from just doing movie reviews to so much more.
Yeah, so the rest just became history. Like you found like that initial wave of Stuckman, Johns, and the Schmoes. Just it rocked the movie space to the point where now everyone's trying to emulate what they're doing. I mean, Matt would be the first person to tell you that's exactly what we're trying to do over here. Like
me
Christian,
too.
and y'all feel like Christian, and the Schmoes and all those other names you mentioned. Like they influenced a whole generation of folks, which is so weird to say in hindsight. And I bet it's weird to them too. But with y'all. And with you guys, it's like it has to be different because this is so. I don't know if you guys feel overwhelmed, but I'm overwhelmed watching everyone go through this process.
Yeah.
Because all of you guys is like, oh yeah, like Christian's out here hyping y'all up. Y'all have your own like posters made on social media. Faces are everywhere, and now we're all like, oh, Sonny and Kat typing into our YouTubes, and we're finding you guys. So how was the initial push? So Christian asks you to be part of the Schmoedown, and both of you say, well, of course, like we love watching, so like we think we can do it too. And then all of us are like, hey, like oh, doing all this and coming on shows and tweets and Twitches and all that stuff. Like how the whole process has been for the both of you?
Well,
crazy.
Yeah. Well, it is a big thing, obviously. Like even though we've been in the YouTube space for a little while now with our own channel and doing reactions and reviews and stuff like that. So we've gotten sort of, used to at least being on camera and talking to people, stuff like that, and trying to do some live things as well. But this is, of course, just a little bit different. But I take you back to like when you actually told me about Christian writing, because at the time, probably my fault, like we didn't really have a Twitter account. Kat did, and that's how Christian got in contact with us, was through Kat's Twitter account. So she just kind of woke me up and was like, Sonny, Christian like the Christian Harloff just wrote me, do you want to be in the draft for the Schmoedown? And I was just waking up, like he's getting my bearings. And,
that's
like,
not fair.
Is that even like, what are you? Am I still what? Like you couldn't even speak or anything like that. But then of course reality hit, and it was like, of course, just say yes, many times yes. And that's kind of how that started. And then we got contacted by some of the the Schmoedown media, like to do interviews and then to talk about ourselves in a way where we have to promote ourselves as well. That's a new thing, definitely. When it comes to like promoting ourselves to trivia contest like this.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, y'all had your own following, and then all of us had to come. All of the states had to come and bug you because like you're about to come from you're about to potentially be in the Schmoedown. Like that's nuts. And just to go towards more questions about the game itself, what did y'all think of season 7? Because that really was a game changer for how the Schmoedown played, and it will be a game changer, especially going forward with the digital play. A potential minor league's been discussed. But what were you guys' thoughts on season 7, especially with it being so different?
It opened doors for sure. It's and it opened doors for us internationals as well, and I'm grateful for that because otherwise I don't think we would stand a chance if it was only studio matches.
Exactly. So yeah, as Kat is saying, like, yeah, it opened some doors, and like at first, definitely, like I was, as many others, a little bit curious about how is this gonna work, and we're so used to studio matches, it being in the studio with an audience, and like, is it even gonna work doing it digital? And I think like really Christian and everybody working there, like they have to just prove that yes, of course it can work, because we still have these amazing personalities. That's not lost just because people are sitting in their own homes in front of a camera, not in a studio. There's still the same element to it. And yes, you have to switch up some things and figure out, okay, how are we going to do the speed round, all that stuff. And that had to change. And I know that Christian is still not completely satisfied with teams matches, at least. So it's maybe going to be a while before we see a team match in season 8. But even with all the little like hoops that everybody had to jump through to make it work. I think that they've still just elevated the sport, I should say. Like, even though they weren't able to do it in the studio, so that's just been amazing to watch how it could still develop, even though it was just digital.
Yeah, I totally get that. And you mentioned you've been going on these shows and everything, but I know along these shows you've been probably meeting or seeing other rookies. So who are some of the other rookies that have impressed you?
Well, like, we haven't really been on at the same time, like with other rookies at least. But you know, when it comes to like what sort of divisions we want to be in, it is more in like towards inner geekdom and Star Wars. So that's, of course, we've been looking at some of the rookies there, and that can be quite intimidating because we got, like, for example, all the people from Dragon Con coming in with very impressive knowledge, trivia knowledge. So yeah, that has been a bit intimidating watching some of these rookies coming in, where it's like, okay, they definitely got the trivia part down, whereas maybe some other people that's something that they have to refine a little bit more. And then other people coming in with characters already sort of established, like a few at least, you know, the Rager and Brother Lomas. That's been fun to watch, them actually being able to do some character work from the beginning, even though it's not something like you, even if you do create a character, you can't be sure that's going to stick. Like if Christian has some sort of plan, or if he thinks that it's not going to be that name and he's going to choose another one, like, you know, it can always change. But I've enjoyed watching those guys at least. And then, as I said, like some of the more like intimidating rookies coming in as well.
Yeah, no, Thomas Harper, who one of the Dragon Con players, has definitely been intimidating. We had him on last week, and we were even like, talking to him is intimidating. So, good luck.
Yeah. Just hearing how he and Alex Damon, they've been going up against each other in trivia contests for years and years, and been like the last two standing. Yes, of course, that can be intimidating for sure. But we're all people, and it seems like everybody's, you know, down to earth and approachable. So that's the through line there. I don't believe that like we're not gonna get any like assholes in the Schmoedown, like the people in the draft all over. Just really nice, awesome people, and I wish everybody could like get the chance to be in the Schmoedown. But there are a lot of people in the draft.
Yeah, there were. I don't know the final number, but it was well over
plus is what he said.
Over 650 some people that submitted auditions. Not even just whether they were asked and said no. Like, there were 650 fans or other folks that applied, and now here we all are among the select 150-ish when the final number comes out on Friday. Like, it's wild to think like that. And y'all said you're focusing more towards inner geekdom and Star Wars, but Taylor in the chat said that y'all have the natural advantage in teams. Y'all can play just like this. I don't know. I'm not pitching to Christian that Sonny and Cat should be a team, but I mean, has to be a thought that has gone through you guys' head at some point.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where you just, wouldn't it be fun if we were in the Schmoedown, if blah, 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 and we won a team or stuff like that, and just this close to reality now. It's just
right.
Yeah, exactly. And even if we don't end up on the same team, or even on the same faction, or even if only one of us get drafted, or maybe none of us, like it's still, this whole thing has still been very exciting. And I don't know, like, because yes, we are obviously like sitting in the same room, and we're doing interviews together all the time. Like, we are Cat and Sonny, or Sonny and Cat, however you want to phrase that.
Is there a preferred way of saying it?
Our channel name is Cat and Sonny. But
there you go.
Don't really have any preferences. Like, as long as it's those two names, I guess.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's the thought of at least being on a team together. That it would be awesome. It definitely would be. But that being said, you don't, like, to the managers, you don't have to draft us as a team. We're not a you can draft us separately. I'm sure people know that, but
that will be fun.
just wanted to get it out.
Oh,
there.
wow. So it's preferred that, or not really preferred, but y'all are really cool with being captured to separate factions.
Yeah, sure.
Unlike another Schmoedown couple we have this season.
Yeah, we have some. There already been some Schmoedown couples, like Shannon and Mike, or the one that was teased at Spectacular with Sabrina and Brandon. So I mean, y'all wouldn't be the first, but I think y'all would be the first to be cool at separating. And for the case of the Schmoedown in regards to factions, but since we're bringing that up, what do you guys think of the factions this year? Like, I know we had 9 throughout the season. Now we're gonna have 8, but I mean, ranging from the top to corruption to the bottom to the dungeon. Like, how are your guys' thoughts, just across the board? Not to give away any preferences on where you guys would like to be drafted, or if you guys want to, then by all means. But just in general, what are you guys' thoughts on the factions?
It's interesting.
yeah, definitely. I really like the addition of factions, first of all. It does bring something else to it. And it kind of raises the stakes a little bit. We all, like, of course, the Schmoedown, it is about people should have fun while doing it. It's not all just serious, or at least I think it shouldn't be. But it does raise the stakes a little bit that we now have these factions that are competing, and it's not just the players doing it. So I've at least, during season 7, I've enjoyed watching a lot of that, back and forth between the faction and seeing like who's on top. And for example, like you mentioned corruption, like at the beginning of the season, they weren't, really at the top at that point. But then starting racking up a lot of points, and we see other factions going further down. And that's, it's just a really exciting aspects of the Schmoedown now that you also have to take into consideration. And the way that the managers work, like if people are saying that, oh, the managers do nothing, it's only the players, that's just BS. Like, the managers put in so much work, and I especially think that during this season you could really, really, really see that, and how much passion the managers have. Like someone like Winston, when Ace was doing like all those upsets in the Star Wars tournament, and seeing how he was responding to that, and just rooting for his players, and the way that Roxy is so protective of Jeff and Draco, the odd couple, and rooting them on, and the way that she has managed them as well. That's it has brought, as I said, something more to the Schmoedown that I didn't know that we needed, but now that it's here, it's just even more awesome.
Yeah, and we do have a question from you in the chat from our buddy Leo Logan, and it's for both of you. What faction if you guys have a preference, do you want to be on?
Yeah, that is a good question. Any faction where we at least, can contribute and have some fun, study together. Like, we're not coming here to just be like, oh, we want to get a lot of points and win some belts, like just for ourselves, our own sake. No, if we're drafted by a faction, then we want to like put all our energy and all our passion into that faction, and help as much as we can, both like all the other players as well. So any faction that's doing something like that, and I'm pretty sure many of them obviously are, also doing things differently, and the way that they study and all that. But when it comes down to it, any faction that will have us, and pretty much, and if we're gonna be faces or heels, like, we are very adaptable, and that's a thing, very adaptable. So any faction really, don't have any like certain preferences.
And I think, well, I was just going to say, I think that's the perfect answer, because you guys, considering it's the draft, you guys just got to hope. Like, you have no say on where you go. It's not like this Friday where we have the free agency, which Chris and I are going to talk about later, where these players are going to get a say. It's because you guys are rookies. You guys have no say, except maybe later on if you go undrafted, and then you may have a say on where you go, but you just got to hope otherwise.
Yeah, it's just cross fingers, man, and just hope that that we're gonna get drafted, because we're just in the draft and ready for whatever happens. And as I also said, like even if we don't get drafted, it's not gonna ruin our lives or anything.
Right.
It's gonna make us sad, obviously, because we really want to be in the Schmoedown and we really want to win some points for whatever faction we end up in. But just getting a little bit closer to the Schmoedown community, that's so far is just as I said up top, a big reward in itself.
Cheddar Goblin says, could see Sonny and Cat fitting in well with quirky mercs.
I could see that as well.
That's where all the nerds go, right? That sounded
No, that sounded great. That's why I love that.
No, you're not wrong.
You're absolutely right.
Well, I am a nerd as well, so
Right.
Yeah,
That's why I love the
We're all in the same boat. Yeah, we're all in the same boat. And like you guys said, you guys were going towards the geekier divisions. Yeah, singles can get geeky, teams can get geeky sometimes, but geekdom in Star Wars is where the money's at. If you like geeky stuff, odds are you're going into those. Hell yeah, definitely hashtag draft them Danes. Hell yeah. But in regards to those two divisions, like both you've been watching for a while. At least, what is it, 5 seasons? 5 seasons now. So
4 seasons, about to be 5, but they're going to be in this 5th season. So
yeah, potentially. But now both divisions have grown so much over the last really 2-3 years. Inner Geekdom, it kicked off a little bit sooner, but Star Wars really hit the ground running, especially with that tournament you mentioned that Ace won, Sonny, a few months ago. But what are you guys' thoughts on both divisions, whether the champs at the top, Changeru and Damon, and then moving your way down? Because both of you guys are about to jump in. And have y'all been playing along with the matches, gone back and rewatched a bunch of them? Like, because now all the questions are coming back. All those questions we heard, that dread question, like we've already seen some dread questions pop back up. So like, just what are you guys' thoughts on the divisions as a whole?
I love that, as you're saying, like as we really saw them grow, and it started as kind of a niche thing, even in the Schmoedown. Like we always had the teams, and then the singles, and then the teams. And at first it was like, whoa, okay, Star Wars gets its own division. That's at some point they're gonna run out of questions, but no, they just get even more deep cut all of the questions. So like right now it feels like the Star Wars division is the most intimidating in that way, that you really have to look at the details and you really have to remember a lot of stuff, obviously. And then with the Inner Geekdom, that has also evolved more and more and added more categories to the point that I would say, like, if any player wants to do all divisions or just 3 divisions, that's going to be a huge challenge going forward. Someone going for all the belts, that's going to be a rarity, and someone competing in all divisions is going to be a rarity. I think, at least, because it is. They are all getting deeper and deeper and adding more categories, and even though we're getting to see like questions that has popped up before, I don't think that's necessarily going to make things easier. Yes, like getting a question that you've heard before or seen in the Schmoedown match before, and if you do remember it, then yay. But there's still so much new stuff being added, and so much evolving. There's so much stuff evolving in those divisions as well. So I'm just looking forward to see like where the competition level, where it's going to be. Also with the new all the new rookies and some of the older competitors as well. Yeah, that's what I'm really curious about. Like, where's the level going to be? Because within a geekdom, it can. There's a lot of range there, but with Star Wars, it can sometimes seems like you almost can't compete unless you can compete at like almost an Alex Damon level.
Right.
Yeah, and that was the vibe that we got, especially at the Star Wars tournament, where you had to essentially you had to bring it. Like you couldn't come in here because a lot of the Schmoedown, especially in those geekier divisions, you can come in base level and hang. Like you can come in and hang. That's what it was for like seasons like 4, 5, 6. It's really 4, 5, and 6. But now especially in your geekdom and Star Wars. Oh my God, like base level, yeah, that'll get you a seat at the table, but that's not going to get you a victory per se. And with the both of you guys jumping into this and just trying to make a name for yourselves in the process, I don't want to say give away your study habits, but what's just been your thought process in regards to studying up before the drafts? Because obviously, once you get into a faction, if you get into a faction, you have your eyes opened to how they do things, and that's going to help you out tremendously. But is there something you guys have been doing yourselves, or just looking back at old matches and seeing how those games were played, seeing those questions that are asked, and adapting them to the game now?
Yeah, I would say it's a lot like that. Like looking back, definitely at some of the earlier matches, and then like you've actually been doing a lot of work, like categorizing stuff.
Yeah, but I'm an academic. I went to university for 5 years. So me studying up for exams, there was a lot of like flashcards and trying to memorize a whole lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I definitely got the brain capacity for memorizing a lot of stuff and a lot of facts and a lot of all that. So it's just like repeating stuff over and over and just like really getting into the details and just like study hard in that regard.
Yeah, getting into that study vibe really. And that's, of course, if we do get drafted, that's going to intensify a lot. And then we get to learn like other study habits and how other people are doing it. And as you said, that's probably going to open our eyes to like how we can improve on our studying as well. Because like growing up here in Denmark, it's not that there are a lot of trivia competitions all over the place. There's not a lot of like big conventions when it comes to both Star Wars or like any other big franchise like that in the geekyverse. So before contemplating maybe getting to play a Schmoedown match at some point, it hasn't really been like a big, I need to remember a lot of trivial knowledge. I just need to live and breathe these universes and like been loving stuff like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and the MCU and everything. But now it's just getting used to thinking about that stuff in a different way. But that is something that the Schmoedown at least has done for me, that it has made me think about a lot of stuff about these franchises or about movies in general that I didn't think about before, and trying to remember, I need to remember, okay, that director's name and when did it come out, because you never know when you're going to land on that movie release slice. So like stuff like that has just like, crept its way in through the years. And now it's just thinking about movies, and you almost can't do it without thinking about, okay, so what sort of questions can you ask about this movie? What sort of trivia is going to come out? So that's definitely also been in the back of our minds, like it's studying a little bit just through the years while watching this Schmoedown.
And I know, Matt, we have to move on at some point, but I have one last question for the two of you guys before we bring our other guest today for Spin from the Reel. But I know we've touched on this already just a little bit ago, but one last thing to all the managers that could be potentially watching this and then thinking to themselves, why should I draft Sunny? Why should I draft Cat? Why should I draft Sunny and Cat? Why should they draft you guys?
Well, do you want to start?
Well, we're awesome, and we are definitely breath of fresh air because we are Danes. We're like completely different mindsets and cultural upbringing, and sometimes we speak funny as well. So it's just like
there's that. We can always, if we get on a team together and we want to strategize in the middle of a match, we can talk a language that nobody else can understand.
Damn,
not going to be a problem, even if it's digital.
Genius.
And we also have a great chemistry together. So should we be drafted as a team or something like that, we do have a great, because we, as a couple, we do understand each other at a little bit of a different level than...
We have a shorthand, at least.
Yeah, at least. So and we have a funny bantering thing, and we can, what's it called? Rap off each other? What's it called when you like?
That's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Right. Sorry, is that English?
English, man, English. Yeah, because that is the second language, of course. But as Kat said, yeah, maybe a breath of fresh air. Someone coming from a totally different place in the world. We're always going to bring like a smile to study sessions, matches, whatever it is. Always going to have fun first and foremost, and then very honest people, very supportive people. As I mentioned before, like any faction we might end up in, we will do everything in our power to help that faction. And I believe that is even more important now in this season with the new rules, especially with the new point system, because now there's actually, you can really hurt your faction if you don't do a good enough job during a match. You don't want to get like points subtracted. That would be a shame. So there's a lot of that, definitely. But all in all, it is just who you see here, who we are as people, and we, if you think that we would fit in great with your faction and that we can help the faction, that's all we want to do.
And before we let you guys go, Taylor in the chat wants to know if we can hear some Danish trash talk. It doesn't have to be towards a competitor. It can be towards me if you want. But just you know, so we can.
I think you're speaking rhetorically, like if they get drafted.
Well, we can do it right now too.
Sure. I can definitely just say something in Danish. You might not even know if it's trash talk or not, but
yeah, I mean, you can just say something. I honestly would probably, I would be like, yeah, totally, and you guys can say like the worst thing to me ever.
I was wrong. No,
we want it now.
Want it now. Okay, sure. Vi kan da sagtens begynde at svine den til og alt muligt, men altså det den måde, som showet virkelig startede på, var bare, at de var så hamrende passionerede, og det er bare så typisk ved folk fra der, hvor de kommer fra, at det er sådan, jeg skal bare have ret hele tiden, jeg skal have ret, og det er sådan, det skal bare ikke tabe noget som helst argumenter, sådan, bare tage dem med ro, bare tage dem med ro og slappe lidt af, det er okay at tage fejl en gang imellem, for helvede.
Just by Kat's response, I think he cut me up pretty good. Like,
det var ikke engang trash talk, det var bare noget rigtig lort, han sidder og siger. Det er jo helt åndssvagt, det der jo. Altså.
Dang, am I getting teamed up on right now?
He was actually trash talking me right there. So.
Okay, like that, because I can't handle this right now. But thank you guys for coming on the program. Both of us really do appreciate it. Where can the people find you on social media, on YouTube, Twitch, all that fun stuff?
Well, yeah, at
Cat Sunny. Cat and Sunny, yeah.
Everywhere, both YouTube. We have a YouTube channel where we do reactions and reviews. There's some gaming streams. I have a weekly show that's called Catch Up with Sunny, where I talk about
stuff.
Yeah, stuff, pop culture, news, bring on some guests, good stuff like that. And then we have a Twitter, Cat Sunny, Twitch as well. Do a lot of game streams there. So yeah, check us out.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having us. It was a lot of fun, guys.
You guys rule. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good.
Oh my gosh, I love those guys. Right? Yeah, they were cutting me up. I think Sonny was cutting me up. That's what it felt like. Because once he stopped, he kept going. It's like, wait, no. And then Kat jumped in. Like by Kat's response, I'm like, wait, is he really digging into me right now? In Danish, like he don't know me, but I'm fragile. Right? Like, maybe I deserve that for enticing it. I wanted them to cut me up, and thankfully, Kat had my back on that case. But thank you so much, Kat, for coming on the program. And for those, I didn't mention this at the top, and I really should mention it now before we bring on our other guests. I'm sorry for any audio issues on my end. That's my own fault. I just,
work this computer desk.
You guys should just see my setup right now. I'm so embarrassed by it. But we had to do a show. I couldn't not do Spin from the Real this week. I couldn't just not do it.
Especially with free agency being on Friday.
Especially with free agency on Friday. Especially with the guests we're having on this week and all the things that we're doing this week. I could just not talk Schmoedown. Like my body would just disintegrate if I didn't.
Yeah, I get to say this for once, even though I'm just singing and just don't touch the wire.
Yo, I maybe it's my jacket. I'm gonna jacket off because I think yeah. I'm gonna stand still for this next one. All right, we're gonna do good. We're gonna be fine.
All right. Well, bringing on our next guest. This is the current Dragon Con Star Wars champion, and that is Marie E. Wilson. How you doing today, ma'am?
Hey, I'm doing great.
Hi. Oh my God, to meet you officially.
It's wonderful to meet you guys.
The reigning, defending Dragon Con champion, Star Wars champion, I should say. I mean,
Yes.
you guys were a myth. I told this to Zach. I said this to Thomas. Like, you guys rocked our worlds before we even knew who you were. Like, we didn't know any names. We didn't know what you guys were capable of. But the rumblings, the Dragon Con players. Like, what is Dragon Con? Like, I didn't know what Dragon Con was until 2 weeks ago. And now here you are. I am uncultured. I'm all over the place. But I mean, please tell us about yourself. Tell the people who you are before we start talking about all this fun Schmoedown Star Wars stuff.
Oh goodness. I don't even know where to start. I have a lot going. Star Wars is basically my second job that I don't get paid for. I am on 2 Star Wars podcasts. I have a Star Wars review blog and a Star Wars queer YouTube channel. So I have all sorts of Star Wars going on. I'm always thinking about reading Star Wars comics and novels and everything. So that's what I eat and breathe every day already. So, and Dragon Con is something that I went to on a whim in 2017.
Okay.
And yeah, so that was my first year at Dragon Con. And I saw on the schedule there was a Star Wars trivia contest. And I was like, oh, this would be interesting. I should try this out. And I took the quiz, the 50-question written test to qualify for the finals. And afterwards, I was like, man, I wish I'd done better, but I'm pretty sure I did good enough to actually get into the top 10. And we're talking about a room that's chock full of people taking this test. And I got in the top 10. No studying, nothing. The first year I ever took the test, and that was really super exciting. And so since then, I've had a little chip on my shoulder, and I'm like, I got to do this. I got to win. I got to take it from Thomas. I got to take it from Zach. I got to take it from Alex. Like, I know I can do this. And so I just ramped up the studying this past year. Like, I can identify 83 clone troopers by appearance.
I love it. You're speaking. I mean, you could probably already tell me you're speaking my language right now. So.
Oh, wow.
And it's so funny because I have people that are like, they're clones.
So they
And
all
I'm
look the
like,
same.
Pay attention. They all have their own unique looks and
But they're
tats and
different.
haircuts. Right. They're their own personalities.
Yeah. So there's some different haircuts, different helmet styles, and
Tattoos,
different markings on their armor and stuff like that. But that was my big thing this year in studying. Was I was like, I'm going to learn as many clone troopers as possible, and it ended up being very, very beneficial for multiple reasons. 2 of the rounds that were the whiteboard rounds, I got those right. And then the final question was a clone trooper. It wasn't by appearance, but it was by what he did. So I was like, yes! So learning all those troopers really benefited me. Of course, I know that doesn't apply to the Schmoedown. I get that. Yeah. I know that there's a whole other realm that I need to study, but just the fact that I was able to do that I was able to learn all those 133 Clone Wars episodes and learn 83 troopers and all that. I feel like getting into the movies will be narrowing it down. It's more contained. There's a lot in there. I get that. There's a ton in there for sure. but it's still more contained. So I'm looking forward to, and honestly, I couldn't help myself. I already made a spreadsheet.
Hey, that's what you got. See, but that's what we like to hear. The guys like us who are so dedicated to the Schmoedown, me especially because you're talking about my baby Star Wars. It's just that's what we like to hear from competitors because it means they're taking it seriously. They're not just treating it like it's just bar night trivia. Like it's there's a real end game to this, and that's really why I like it. When I see a competitor treating it with the same respect I have for it, that's why I appreciate it. Like I tweeted out the other day, I have the 3 Dragon Con players, Rick Radis, Jesse Swift, and David Campbell as my 6 top rated rookies, and that's just because I've paid attention to how you guys are talking. We had Zach and Thomas on last week. I watched you on Let's Get Ready this past Friday, and hearing how you how serious you guys are taking it.
Yeah.
See, and Matt, it's funny because I mean, you said you don't want to do the whole like not treating it as bar trivia. Well, that's how it's kind of how Marie got into this whole thing. Like she's like, oh, off a win. Like, she didn't even have to study, and she made the top 10 at Dragon Con.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
And I mean, that's already a testament to you and how much you love Star Wars. Because, I mean, if I'm being honest, I thought I liked Star Wars until I met people like Matt. And then last week when we were talking, it's like, oh, Matt, we don't like Star Wars compared to folks like y'all who go to these Dragon Cons and like, you know what I mean, Matt? And,
He's like, no.
Do not include my name in that. That's just you. You see my wall. You can't see my bookcase.
I would love to see you name 80 clones by appearance.
I'm not competing in trivia.
Marie's on the both of us. Let's all 80 of them right now.
That's all that matters.
So look, Marie, I mean we have a starting base. Okay, so you went to Dragon Con. You said 2017 for the first time off a whim.
Yeah.
And did you start competing that same year, or was it 18?
Did I start what?
Did you start competing that year, or was it 18 that you started competing?
The first year I ever went to Dragon Con, I competed in trivia. I was a finalist.
Okay. And because I know how, and after our interview with the other 2 guys, Zach and Thomas, we understand how rigorous of a test, not the test, well, apparently like it was supposed to be rigorous, but the process once you actually get to the table is a whole different thing because they do different rounds and all this crazy stuff. So were you even prepared for that? Because it's in front of a crowd.
Right.
Like, is that something that you were comfortable with? Did that affect your gameplay at all? Because the Schmoedown's a whole different beast.
Right. So the first year it was nerve-wracking, but I was like, ooh, this is fun. Like being up in front of all those people, and just doing the trivia. It was a little nerve-wracking, but I did a lot of theater in high school, so okay. I've done a play where I had lines in front of 2,500 people. So I had experience with that in the past. Of course, this is testing your knowledge. But oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. I had something I was going to say. I'm sorry.
We were asked at the table. Is it weird doing in front of a crowd? You did theater.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So I went from doing the trivia, and once I was in front of people and I had seen some panels and everything, I was like, I want to do panels. Why aren't I up there talking about Star Wars? Like, I know Star Wars and I want to talk about it. So last year, 2019, well, actually, I was on a panel in the virtual Dragon Con also. I was on a Invertebrates of Star Wars panel, which was pretty cool. And in 2019, I was on a Star Wars Representation Matters panel.
Word.
So I was up in front of a crowd of people talking about queerness in Star Wars, and I loved it. It was wonderful. Just talking about something that I love. So being in front of people, and plus I'm an educator, so I'm in front of people quite a bit. So that comes pretty naturally to me.
like I mentioned earlier, that pays the bills. Like
Yes.
that's what funds your love for Star Wars. The thing you eat and you breathe. The educating is what allows you to do all that fun stuff.
Yes.
So I mean, I'm pretty sure we can at least decipher, at least pinpoint the answer to this. But how did you find the Schmoedown then? It's a whole different beast, the Dragon Con and the Schmoedown. So how did you find that? How did you find all this crazy stuff?
So through Alex, I knew that Alex was a part of this other thing that was Star Wars trivia.
Okay.
And I was so wanting to be a part of it too. I was like, I know I can do this. I know I can compete. And how do I get involved? Like, what in the world do I do to get involved? And so I just every year kept trying and competing. And then this year I won the trivia.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. And Alex reached out to me and was like, you need to send in audition tapes. You need to do this and he sent me the tweet and everything. So I knew the information that was going on. So he's been really supportive of me getting involved in this.
See, and it's funny with the guy that has the nickname Demon. He's
I know, right?
Awfully supportive.
Right? So yeah, that was how I found out about it. And this summer I did watch some of the Star Wars tournament. I had a little trouble keeping up with when the matches were happening and everything.
Sure.
Because I wasn't a part of the Patreon. I didn't know how to find out the information all that easily. For some reason, it's been really difficult for me to figure all this out. But I feel like I've been doing a pretty darn good job recently.
Made it.
Hey, Facebook page. That's going to be your best friend.
Yeah. Well, I did join the Patreon. So I joined the Schmoedown Patreon. And I've been watching as many matches as I can, just getting an idea of the gameplay, the kinds of questions they ask, because I'm sure you know from Thomas that the questions are worded completely differently from Dragon Con. So in Dragon Con, they're like, in the year 32 BBY XXX. And in Schmoedown, it would be in the Phantom Menace XXX. So you have to kind of reframe and reorganize your thinking to go from in-universe timeline to movie.
Yes.
And I mean, go ahead, Matt, please.
I was about to say that totally makes sense because in Dragon Con, I know it's all of canon. I remember, I know the other day on LGR you were talking about you have a cabinet just right by you, just stuffed with
right there.
And because you need to know for Dragon Con when those take place in the timeline. Now it's just like, no, remember this detail from this movie, this detail from this movie. It framing it that way was going to help you, or training your mind to reframe it that way is going to help you, so you don't trip yourself up because you're so used to hearing the year compared to the film.
Right. And I don't want to show all my cards, but I will say, just so managers out there know that I'm very serious about this, I have already reorganized 600 of my Dragon Con flashcards into Schmoedown appropriate categories. So I am ready to go.
Woo! I mean,
so
I know, right? Damn. So the like you mentioned, the Schmoedown's a whole different. Like you got to look at it differently. It's not even just it's set up different. No, like you mentioned, the questions are asked differently. You're approaching this differently than you would Dragon Con, as you should. But coming into a space like this and talking to folks like us, right? Like, how has that been for you? Because, like I mentioned at the top, there was a lot of hype for Dragon Con. Like, what is going on? And I came on this show, and I was telling Matt, like, who are these people?
I'm the one who knew a little bit more because of Sean Sullivan's.
Yeah, it's like I want to know who these people are. And then we find you guys out, and now you're popping up on all these shows like Spin from the Real, like LGR. And how's it been for you getting all this? Like, I don't know if you have your podcasts, and were you used to this kind of attention? Has it been polarizing to you? The fact that you're being asked solely because, like, hey, you're pretty damn good at Star Wars. Let's talk about you potentially coming into the Schmoedown and dethroning the guy who's been champ for 2+ years.
It's actually, I've had a blast. I have had so much fun in every interview I've done. I've had a wonderful time. I feel like I produce a lot of content. My blog, I review every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, unless something comes up. So that's me constantly reading every bit of Star Wars literature that comes out, including children's books, like everything.
Okay.
And so I'm constantly producing content. I have my queer YouTube channel for Star Wars that's once a week. And then I'm on Beyond the Blast Doors on Wednesdays and Tumbling Saber once a month. So I do all this stuff and I have all this content, but my reach is like this big.
We feel the trust. We're feeling that pain ourselves.
So I'm like, I keep trying to, I keep putting stuff out there. I've done my blog since 2017. I have over 400 reviews that I've produced, and I just keep doing this, and my reach is so small, and I'm just like, guys, I know my stuff. Like, I want you to realize that I do know my stuff, that I am a legitimate
Threat.
solid resource threat, yeah. But a legitimate resource for information on Star Wars, that I know it. So yeah.
Like it may not just be because people may hear that and they're like, oh, she only talks about the queer representation of Star Wars, or that aspect of the universe. Well, no, in reality, you are just all about Star Wars, but you just happen to have a YouTube channel based on that one aspect of the universe.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, like that's just a little tiny bit of the massive universe that Star Wars is becoming on a what feels like daily basis because of all the stuff that's been coming out through Lucasfilm and Disney the last few years. So I mean, we're on the same boat in regards to we know what we like, we know what we want to talk about, but it's the reach. So this whole thing for you has just been like, I mean, you want to promote yourself and get the Schmoedown. You want people to take notice of you, which before people even knew your name, we were taking notice of you. I hope you know that. And then now here you are. Like, this must be like gold mine for you in both aspects.
I mean, it's been pretty great. It's been exciting to get people excited about different things, and different shows I've been on have been pretty excited about the YouTube channel Aphrod's Artifacts. And I don't want to do Schmoedown because I want to promote myself. That's not what I want to do Schmoedown for. But I do like to point out that Aphrod's Artifacts is all about having people see Star Wars in themselves and see themselves in Star Wars. So that part of Star Wars is really important to me too. Like the how you connect with it and how it makes you feel. But the reason why, and I know you didn't ask this question, but if it's okay if I say this,
by all means,
the reason why I want to do Schmoedown is because I need a challenge in my life.
Ooh.
Oh,
I want to be challenged. I want to be pushed. I want to have a mountain to climb, and I want to climb it. And I'm very academically competitive. So trivia is something that resonates with me very, very much so. And so that's my thing, is I want Star Wars to be more of my life, which is funny to say when I pretty much have
all these different things,
full-time job that I don't get paid for, that's Star Wars. But if I can infiltrate it into even more of my life, then yeah, that's That's awesome.
That's the dream.
Because it is my dream. My dream is to do Star Wars. I mean, that's been my dream for several years now, but I know that's, either impossible or a long way off, but I try. I do love it, and I try to reach people and get them excited about things, get them excited about the books and comics, get them excited about queer representation, and all those sorts of things.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, my girlfriend, she's bi, and she recently has gotten into comics, and I have a lot of the original Dr. Aphra run in my comic collection over there. So she's like, I'm just gonna take these, and you may or may not get them back.
That's awesome. Yes. Aphra and Tolvin, best couple ever.
Yeah.
I mean, the crazy part about, Marie, we've been talking to you for about like 20 minutes now, 20-ish minutes, and we still somehow haven't brought up how, like, this past, well, we have brought it up, but this past victory at Dragon Con, the virtual Dragon Con, and how that was for you. Because, you were so used to doing it in person, doing it in front of a crowd, and then all of a sudden, pandemic happened to the shock of everyone on this planet. And Dragon Con still does the virtual convention, and it still did the virtual Star Wars competition, and then you win the thing.
Yeah.
And you bested someone who may not be a demon within the very thing we're talking about. So how was that for you, the transition going from in person to virtual in regards to Dragon Con? Because the Schmoedown, all of us here that have been watching this for X amount of time, we witnessed that, and the competitors do that from in studio to virtual, and people weren't too fond of it at first. People still aren't too fond of it. So how was that for you this past August?
Well, the first part of it is that written test that got published. I took it because I needed to know, would I have actually gotten into the finals if I had gone through the written test? Because they selected me because I had been in the top 10 for the past 3 years. So I took the written test. I got a 44 out of 50.
Oh, wow.
And if you remember from Thomas, he said the average score was like 23 out of 50 or something like that. 22. So I got a 44. So I would have gotten in the finals. So I was like, okay, whew, I feel good. I'm doing good. And then I actually spent. Oh, that's.
I second that notion.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
I actually spent the night, multiple nights, with my bestie and his boyfriend. And we had our little virtual Dragon Con at their house, and it was super, super fun. And then the last day when I was doing, or the day when I was doing the trivia, the virtual live trivia, I came over to my place. I got all ready. I was ready to go. And they came over to my place, and they were sitting like on the other side of the room from me. And it was funny because they said, oh, we'll watch it for the first half, but then the second half, we're going to watch this other panel that's coming on. And I was like, oh, that's fine. Just as long as you're there giving me moral support.
Word.
And halfway through, they're like, like, we're going to keep watching this because this is getting good. And so they kept watching, and they would write notes like, you're doing great. This is awesome. And like, it was so cool. And you can actually hear my best friend Wes screaming in the background when I won. You can hear him go, ah, and clapping. And it's so funny because they're sitting just on the other side of the room from me. So that was, I had like my little cheering crowd right next to me. If I had been by myself, it would have been really sad and not as engaged, not as, I don't know, not as motivating, I guess. But the fact that they were right next to me and were supporting me throughout the whole thing, I felt like I had a cheering section, and that really made it feel more real and like I was there.
Like all you needed was them, like those two people that were there and in the space with you.
Yeah.
Somehow emulated that whole experience at Dragon Con, like, which is crazy to me. Like, that's nuts. Because do you think, and I don't know if I'm being too frank, but do you think your performance would have changed if they weren't with you?
I mean, there's a potential for that, just because it would have been. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I knew what I knew, you know?
Yeah.
So there's that. But it's always nice to have people that are rooting for you, for sure. And I know at Dragon Con, I had people in the background from the Birmingham 501st that were there, and they knew me from a previous trivia competition I did locally, where I was Ula's Revenge, which is that's my local trivia name.
Word. Okay.
And they were cheering me on in the back, and knowing that I have people in my corner, it's helpful and it's fun and it's motivating.
I mean, it's got to help calm those nerves, because if you're by yourself, that can just be nerve wracking, especially when you're in that high stakes situation.
Yeah.
So I know, and I guess that leads to Chris, an important question. I know for matches in Schmoedown, it depends on if managers or opponents feel comfortable with that. So how would you handle that if you can't have that cheering section with you? Is that going to bug you at all?
I mean, I think. Sorry, my cat is on my lap right now, and she's
no worries.
She's clawing me. Well, I mean, academically, like, you know, taking tests growing up in college, in grad school, all those things, like, I didn't have a cheering section for those, and I still did all right. So I think I'd be fine. As long as I know the material, and I've said this on other interviews, that I love taking tests, period.
Yeah, I know Justin was a little thrown off by that.
I'm thrown off by that.
So it's a little weird, I know, but if I feel like I've studied the material well enough, I just feel like it's a fun experience. So I feel like I'd be fine. I'd totally be fine. It's just nice to have that cherry on the top with a cheering section. Yeah.
100%. And to go back to what you mentioned earlier, you said you didn't really get to watch all of the Star Wars matches because like they were all over the place, and you're going back and watching them now and you can. Well, the division, at least from what we've heard from Christian Hodloff, the main man himself, the division is going to be awfully important. And more important this season, more so than any season it's been a part of in its run. And just by looking at the draft list and the current list that we have of current competition, it's going to double the amount of people in this division. So it's going to be awfully competitive. It's no secret. ASG in the chat, the only opponent Marie needs to watch out for is her cat, apparently. So what are your? I mean, obviously you're familiar with Zach, Alex, and Thomas, and like, what are your thoughts on the rest of the division? You say you watched some matches. How did you do? If you played along, or what were your thoughts on the other competition?
Well, I mean, I know it's stiff competition. I know that these people know their stuff. Right now, I'm in the middle. Finally, I'm watching. I'm very, very close to the end of the match between Alex and Andres Cabrera for the spectacular.
Nice.
And I mean, I've been doing pretty darn good. Like, I've been doing really well, and that's exciting for sure. That last question, the 10th question on the speed round, where they're like, "How many movies is Han Solo in?" I'm like, 6. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, I was
not that hard.
Chris and I were watching together, and I'm like, "It's 6." He's like, "No, it's." I'm like, "No, Chris, it's 6."
Yeah, I'm still trying to think of what that sixth movie is.
Yeah,
that
Rise of
happened to my
Skywalker.
yeah.
Rise of
Yeah.
Skywalker.
Yeah. I know,
Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry. Don't tag guys, please. Like, but
So I was like,
that's how you got to look at it, though. Like, because it's stiff competition, and these type of matches, and you're watching it with Alex and Ace, that like you miss a question, like that's it's like Dragon Con. It's like you miss a question, and now you're really behind.
yeah.
So the fact that you're going back and watching those, that's a testament to, I mean, not only how good you are, I'm doing pretty well. You can say you're beating them. You can say that. It's okay.
So it's like I really I understand that the competition is stiff. I understand that other people are hungry too, but so am I. And I know that I'm capable of this. And the thing is, like, yes, I've inundated myself with comics and books for the past 4 years, or since Canon came out.
Yeah.
Since they revamped Canon, I've inundated myself because I decided when Canon was redone that I would read literally everything that came out.
Respect.
And I have.
I've tried, but I'm a college student and my wallet does not allow me to.
That is an issue. I understand. I bought a Kindle to make it a little more friendly.
See,
and space friendly.
The comics is where I like having comics. That's just me.
I do comicsology, which I know is like a bad word, but
no, it's not a bad word. I totally get it. It's just
that's what you got to do.
Space,
right? I love owning my physical books so I can pull them out. Like I just said, my girlfriend with the Afro comics.
Right there, you go. It's true. So I've inundated myself with the comics and books, yes, but I have seen all the movies many multiples of times. And it would just take, I mean, obviously I want to watch them all like frame by frame, and I will do that. And I'm excited to do that. But watch it one more time through, and like all that information and knowledge comes flooding back. And it's like, oh yeah, like I remember this, and this. I got this. I know what's going on. So it's just going to be rewatching those movies. Because I've been focusing on the Clone Wars, for example, and Rebels, and even Resistance. So, yeah.
I'm sorry about Resistance.
Oh, I love that show. Niku is the best.
See, Niku was like the thing. The one character I loved. Kaz got annoying after a while. I'm still like. I season 1 was okay. I was at Celebration, like, yeah, season 2 is it. I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I still haven't made it past episode 3 of season 2. So
no.
See,
Niku is awesome.
Yes, Niku is awesome.
well, Marie, I know we've had you for a bit, but I feel like Matt and I wouldn't forgive ourselves if we at least asked this question. You might have been asked this question before. I haven't heard an answer. So I mean. What's your favorite Star Wars movie?
And of course, Boggs is in the chat asking the same.
What's your favorite Star Wars movie?
110% Rogue One.
Ooh,
broke my heart with that one.
Who got hot in here? That was, I mean, I love Rogue One. Some people don't, but I mean,
the last 30 minutes.
But we're talking about the whole film.
The whole movie is epic. Like, okay,
my
get
God.
this. So the soundtrack I listen to the most is the Rogue One soundtrack. I just pull it up on YouTube and I listen through it. And there's one point in the soundtrack where Saw Gerrera says, "For Gullet." And every time I'm listening to the soundtrack out loud, I will say, "For Gullet," when it comes to that part of the soundtrack. Like, I just love that movie.
Oh my God!
ASG, did you hear a second favorite Star Wars movie? Yes, I have. I was watching LGR. There, I was. Oh, and then Taylor laughed my ass off. Toby Barkwell started crying. Somewhere.
Yeah, I know fans out there crying somewhere. But what's the second favorite Star Wars? I don't know.
This is going to cause controversy. I know it because I watched LGR on Friday.
What is it? I'm curious.
And again, I would wholeheartedly Attack of the Clones.
Whoa! Whoa! I mean, all power to you. Like that's wow.
I'm just shocked because her top two are actually my bottom two.
I respect
I
the
will say
hell
that-
out of you, Marie. Oh my god.
I do. So I think you'll appreciate this. You know that really cool teaser poster they have from episode 2 where it's Anakin and Padme back to back and he has the red saber. That is, I actually have a multitude of Star Wars posters. That is one of them. It is one of my prized possessions. I might not be the biggest fan of that movie, but the prequel is in general. Their promotional art and is just fantastic. Especially the teaser posters for Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. So that is one of my prized possessions.
That's awesome.
God. Marie, I respected the hell out of you for not only saying that Rogue One's your favorite Star Wars film, but the fact that you followed up with Attack of the Clones and you're on the internet somehow. Like and the internet hasn't tried to tear you apart at this point. Like, wow. Like good on you. Because I wouldn't have been able to handle all that pressure. I don't know if you've been on other platforms or if you've been on Reddit, the worst place on earth, which somehow happens to be the best. But you voice your opinion, and that must be an extraordinarily hot take, at least amongst the universe. Just basing it off of our two reactions. My God.
I mean, look at what Taylor said. I got roasted on here for ranking Attack of the Clones above TPM. But you're part of the channel, Taylor. She's a guest, so we're not going to do that.
So interestingly enough, though, I have curated my Twitter to be very Star Wars positive. Very positive. Like, it was after Last Jedi, I curated it, and so it was very positive towards, like, Last Jedi is good. And so everyone loved all the Star Wars movies. Everything was good. And then Rise of Skywalker came out.
Uh-oh.
Holy crap. My timeline it was awful. And, like, I personally adore Rise of Skywalker. I think it is an epically wonderful movie. And it makes me cry, it makes me laugh. Like, oh my God, I love it so much.
I tell people if you've just ate up the can in the past few years, you actually really dig this movie because they put a lot of stuff in there for people like you and I who are just eating this stuff up. Where it's just like people are like, oh, Palpatine is back on an arm. I'm like, no, they've hinted at this since they restarted the damn canon.
Yeah, with the Sentinels and all that.
Yep.
So my timeline, it became, if you like Rise of Skywalker, you're not a woman. And I was like, excuse me?
What?
Like,
how?
What?
how does that even work?
I don't know. I don't understand. But it was so mind-blowing, and I got so frustrated. So, like, I've never been attacked for liking Attack of the Clones, but I've been attacked for liking Rise of Skywalker.
You just summed up the fan base in one sentence, like the past decade. Oh my God.
Insane.
I kind of want to put one of my helmets on in shame of what this fan base has
become. That's so gross.
It's ridiculous.
It's so bad. But I mean, good on you for being a light in this somehow dark fan base, questioning people's person because of movies that they like. Because I mean, like, come on now. But Marie, you've been such a delight. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Let the people know what you have going on. Whether your blogs, your podcasts, your channel, everything. Let people know.
Okay, so you can find me on Twitter at Alia Morgaine, and my Star Wars YouTube channel about queer Star Wars is Afra's Artifacts, and my Star Wars review blog, which I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, except for today, just because things say they're going to be published and then they're not, and so you have to deal with that weirdness. Is the Star Wars Review.blogspot.com, and then a monthly co-host on Tumbling Saber podcast where we talk about comics and books, and then I am on Beyond the Blast Doors live, which is actually tonight, 9 p.m. Central. And I'm going to be talking about the newest Dr. Aphra that came out, which was wonderful. I rated it a 9.5 out of 10. It was so good. So yeah, those are, I think those are all my things. It's a lot of things, but I think that's it.
Well, oh my
Thank
God.
you, Marie. Thank you so much for coming.
Please.
I also, on BeyondTheBlastWords.com, every Wednesday I write a review of the comic that came out.
I appreciate.
There you go.
And I've appreciated having you, Zach, and Thomas on, because I actually have someone who understands what I'm talking about, and not just this guy over here. So
he doesn't take the time to teach me. How rude of him. But Marie, thank you so much for coming on the program. You are fantastic. Taylor in the chat, you're a terror of Star Wars. I can't help but agree. I would have asked you what you would have liked to tell managers, but just saying that you want a challenge, I thought, I'm like, that's enough.
Yep.
like what else do you need to hear out of someone going into what is I think inarguable the most difficult division in the Schmoedown, and you got people in here like yourself saying, I just want a challenge. And here you are going into what is presumably the ultimate Star Wars trivia challenge in the whole land. So Marie, best of luck to you in the draft. Oh my gosh, you made a fan out of us. I'll say that. So thank you so much for coming on the program. Really do appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys so much. I had a great time.
Good. We'll keep in touch. We'll keep an eye out just in case you get drafted on the 29th.
Fingers crossed. Or 30th, because remember the draft is
or the 30th. Or the 30th. We'll keep an eye out.
Okay. Thank you guys so much.
Have a good one.
Woo! And then
she's great.
We didn't want to put this on while we have Marie, but Kat and Sunny, thank you so much once again. And no worries, I wasn't hard on you. It was pretty much a lot of Danish gibberish.
Yo, and I mean, I think honestly, 3 for 3 with guests today.
Yeah.
I think all 3 of them are going to bring something different. I love talking to all 3 of them. Kat, Sunny, Marie, thank you guys so much. And it's all right, Sunny, no hard feelings. I'll cry about it when we're not doing the show. When we're done. Just so I don't want people to. I can Matt can see me cry, but all of you guys, I don't want y'all to see me cry.
Yes.
But yeah.
Before we end today's episode, we are actually going to do one more look at free agency. So I'm going to stop my camera real quick to go get my notebook that has the notes from before when we did this.
Word. Yeah, I can. I'll look, guys. We did. I think it was about a month and a half ago. We talked about free agency, and we predicted, Matt and myself, who would go where. And I know all the factions were looking for new folks, presumably, because corruption locked their 3. Shannon was like, you know what? Collins, Kalinowski, Ellison. Those are the 3 for corruption. We don't got to worry about those. So that was easy, right? That was spectacular early December. That we didn't have to worry about that. But Matt and I, we got together in, I believe, like mid to late December, and we decided, let's go ahead and figure out the rest of the factions and who they're going to pick for their 3. And we did that. And before we leave you guys today, we have to at least look back, take a little bit of a sneak peek or a look back into what we had going on, and presumably have a little sneak peek towards the free agency special this week if we get our correct predictions, of course. But I mean, do you want to start? You want to start with the stars and go from there?
I mean, honestly, I can tell you might as well go because you're the one who has a different list. Mine didn't change that much.
Okay. Well, when we did the show, what was it, like a month ago at this point? About a month ago?
Around a month ago, yeah, I think.
I had written down for the stars Andreyko, Snyder, and Damon. Because that was the popular consensus. You have team champs. Why would you split them up? And then you have Damon, the Star Wars champ. Why would you drop the champion, right? Well, then all of a sudden, these freaking Snyder rumors showed up out of nowhere. And somehow they gained some type of traction, and they're still in the ether. People are still considering that as an option. So Matt, I know you. I don't know if you have the same thing written down, but is that something that I should consider if I want to? Because if I got to drop Snyder in favor of the exchange, and I have to pick someone else to go to the Stars,
I honestly I do not think that is a realistic option. Especially because our predictions came out on Christmas. I don't think.
Word. Okay, was that week? Word.
I don't think much else really changed. The only here. So the Stars. Their reports started coming out the past couple of days. Jeff Snyder's virtually allowed to go back now. So
okay, but I will say before we move on, if Snyder moves the exchange after all this love he gave Roxy and Draco at the awards, moment of the year, the heel turn that Snyder, the ultimate heel turn that Snyder will have if he does leave the Stars for whatever reason. That's moment of the year 2021. I'm calling it right now. If it happens, let's move forward.
Well, we know corruption stays the same.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mercs, I know you don't like it, but it looks like it's Smith and Shazam.
I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I don't get it. But it's Kevin Smith, and if he's going to really compete this year, then how can you?
He's 2-0. He's 2-0.
He's 2-0 too. I mean, for the sake of this, I'll keep it the same, but I'm not totally for that Smith pick.
I know. Suspects, we said Ethan, LSM, and Goddard. Rumors came out the past couple days. Ethan is a lock to go back to the Suspects. It's long been rumored and known that he would love to be with LSM because he's who brought her into the Schmoedown.
Mm-hmm.
Goddard is the only one that I think may not end up here, but I still think ultimately he will be on the exchange, so it doesn't matter.
On the exchange or the Suspects?
Excuse me, the Suspects. Sorry. Okay. The Suspects list is right about the exchange.
Word. Yeah, Goddard. I remember the one I was like Goddard can go anywhere if we're being real. Obviously not corruption, but I know we might talk about him going to the exchange and then them drafting a Star Wars player first round, because that's what a lot of these teams might end up doing is drafting Star Wars first round, especially with how Chris emphasized the importance of Star Wars. I think the exchange, not the exchange, now you got me doing it. The Suspects, as they stand, how we have them standing with Irwin, LSM, and Ben Goddard would be awfully interesting. And then now you really have to draft a Star Wars player first round, or at least a fully committed Inner Geekdom player, if you want to roll that way as well. Because Star Wars and Inner Geekdom, they're pretty stacked, and you still find the players as the rounds go. I like this a lot. I think I'm not willing to fully commit to LSM because people like Merle and Bateman are still floating there. Although I like where we have them going as far as the list that we culminated a month ago.
Realistically, the only thing that changed on my list is the Den, and the only reason I say Tom, for obvious reasons.
Tom, yeah.
But there have been rumors floating around that there's going to be a sign-in trade.
So can we talk about those for a second?
Yeah, because realistically, otherwise my lists are staying the same. I'm just being honest. I got Swag, Dan, Paul, Chandru, Dungeon, Parker, Bateman, Preston, Finstock, Roca, Barbarian, Demolanta. So that just brings us to the Den. And there are these rumors that Shannon will be doing a sign-in trade for Marisol.
Marisol's the big question, right? There's a huge question mark around Marisol. And Laura Kelly is also part of these rumors as well, because Shannon really wants Laura Kelly, and she has the last pick of the first round.
And the first pick of the second.
And the pick of the second, but will Laura fall hypothetically? Will he fall hypothetically?
And I think this trade has, if I'm going to be honest, we don't know what this trade is, but I think it has future picks involved. If I'm a betting man, I'm saying it's a sign-in trade. Kate includes her pick.
Oh hell! Was that the fourth?
It's like the second or third. It's the third. It's third.
It's a third pick. Okay.
So let me just make sure I'm good.
Damn. So wait.
So hold on. I'm pulling up the factions. Yeah. Excuse me. That's the fourth pick.
Fourth pick.
No, it's the third because there's no Droogs.
So you're right. Yeah.
So she gives up the third pick, sign and trades Marisol to Shannon for her first and second this year and her first and second next year.
Woo! We're thinking like that. Oh, wow.
Remember, Christian. So Christian, part of the thing about giving Roxy the third that was to get from the Droogs, and giving Sam his pick back was to show not to be afraid to trade future picks to get deals done if you want to get them done.
Okay.
So with that thinking in mind, if Shannon makes sure she gets those two, and Shannon's going to do her homework. We've heard from a few people how hard she's going after some of these. She's doing her research on some of these rookies and other players.
She'll tell you to her face if you ask her.
Yeah, she's brought it up. Like, she is doing all the research she has to do.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going to be willing. If she gets to keep her normal five, she's got a nice top layer there, and she can supplement it with rookies and take more chances.
The one thing that I will oppose you on is the 1-2 of both this year and next year. Because what are you going to use Laura? How are you going to get Laura then? Like, because that's my thing, right? Like, if you want Laura and you want Marisol.
That's how you get Laura this year. I'm saying it's Marisol and Kate's third, their first round pick, which is the third.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you use the third round pick to get Kelly.
The third overall pick to get.
Oh, geez. That'd be one hell of a trade.
That's realistically the best way she can go about getting.
Wow. Wow. Because what it sounds like essentially is, oh, damn. If I was Kate, son of a biscuit. Yeah. Like, if I was Kate, I wouldn't do it.
Well, no. Kate's made it known. She put out a hell of an offer to make sure Shannon gets what she wants. She's like, I gave Shannon an offer. I think this could be it.
Man, that'd be insane. If that is it, then holy F balls, Batman. But
ASG is it though? Because
ASG punting, that'd be sad as hell.
No, but is it punting? Because we don't know who she's gonna get.
That honestly, because you're trading one, because you draft or you're
trading back. You're trading back 5 spots, gaining the 6th spot after that.
But you're losing out on 2 top 25 players potentially.
But we've even
you had to have a solid base. I would do that if I was Kate, only if
she's able to get 2 solid players up top. That's what I think it's dependent on. ASG. Here's what I'll say, and I know Chris and I talked about this a little bit. That 20 through 40 spot is almost interchangeable. Those top 20 to 40 players is almost interchangeable, and we don't know what she's gonna need after getting those filling those 2 free agency spots.
My God, God. If I was Kate, I wouldn't do that. Unless I have like Dan and Bateman as my other 2, you know what I mean? Because then that's a good base. That's a good place to start. But if I'm Kate, let me rephrase. If we're watching this thing on Friday, and Kate's like, I have Marl Kanopik and Juan, just how we initially said it in December, and then she picks up McKee and sign and trades McKee. It's like, is that the best base you want to start with going forward?
It's a solid base, not a great base.
It's solid, but and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but Mara's interview future relies on her match with Chandru. We're gonna see how that pans out. And then Lon by his lonesome, is he singles competitor worthy or singles championship worthy unless you get him a good teammate in the draft? There's a lot of ifs, a lot of big question marks. Unless you get Merle and Bateman somehow and they go to the den. So that sounds fair. If you had to have a great base, a solid base ain't gonna cut it, especially if you want to compete.
Yeah,
a solid base ain't gonna cut it.
But also, I get why ASG says punting for next year, because the next year you have a you have 2 1s and 2 2s. Like I get his logic of it's punting for next year. Yeah, but also you could also view it as it's not punting for next year because now she has extra trade ammo. You have to start viewing this as a full-on sport. Chris, you and I live in cities where all they like to do now is acquire assets and use them as trade ammo.
Oh, God. I don't want to mention it. ASG said something else in the chat. It also mean corruption has no wiggle room in 2022 to do anything. What is she going to do then? Great question.
Yeah. But
that's because
who knows?
Hypothetically, say to do next year.
The game changes. But who knows how the game changes? That's the thing. Because Christian might change up how things are set next year.
Oh, geez, that's a great caveat. Because they know, I don't, unless they were told we're doing the same thing going forward. But right. Even then, damn, you're losing your first 2 picks, and you can only get so many players. Oh, damn, you really threw a monkey wrench at me, didn't you? That's if I was Kate, hypothetically, because like you said, corruption's a lock. The stars to us is a lock. Swag. That Merle one's still a question mark, especially with what the hell you just threw at me. Roca, Barbarian, DeMolanta, yes. Shazam and Smith, yes. Parker, Bateman, Preston, again. Bateman with what the hell you threw at me. Because let's be real. There's a fine line. There's a line between players that need that managerial help, and there are players that they are their own manager and they can do fine on their own. The last two people I mentioned are examples of that. Dan Murrell and Ben Bateman. They have been in the game for a while. They played the game at a whole different level than everybody else does. So they don't necessarily need the most analytical manager to be in their corner. And Kate, I know Kate jumped in. She was thrown into the season essentially. Christian to replace Emma.
Yep.
And now, she had a rocky season. Now here she is. If she can somehow, some way sway someone like Ben Bateman or a Dan Murrell or someone of that caliber, and another great player to team them or to do singles or intergeek them, whatever the hell, Chandru, just players that play at a different level, then yes, what you just said, I get it. But also bringing back ASG's point, corruption, there must be going all in next season, and then corruption's punting next year.
Hey, I'm just going to be honest. Here's my thing. You can ask Nick. I'm the type of person who I care more about repeating success and I'll figure it out later. If I'm Shannon, she's made it known she wants those 2 players back. She realizes if she wants those 2 players back, she's going to have to make future sacrifices. And who knows, maybe she decides later on in the season to flip one of those 2 to reaccumulate assets, depending on how the season.
Totally. And that's totally.
You have to think of all the different angles this can go and all the different possibilities. You can't just think, oh, she's hamstrung herself. No, because she might just be like, I love Marisol. Maybe this deception.
But that diminishes say hypothetically, Laura Kelly doesn't stack up the way she thought she would, and she thinks about trading her. Then what's that say to the rest of the league? You went out of your way to get this girl, to get this competitor. Now you're gonna trade her again? That makes you look bad.
That's the nature of sports.
But we also it's a sport. It's a real condensed sport at the same time.
I know.
So you got to think of it in that sense as well. I know you're out here thinking we were from, in my case, cities that were all about thinking long term. In the Schmoedown, can you really think that far ahead? I don't think you can.
That's my point. Shannon wouldn't be thinking that far ahead. Shannon's would be thinking about the now. She's wanting to win now.
I just think she'd be putting herself in a bad spot.
She could be, but we just got to see how it plays out. Who knows? Maybe she picks up some of these rookies and they hit.
And we just talked to 7 of them over the last 2 weeks. That probably won't go first round, depending on how this free agency thing goes this upcoming week.
Although I'm not gonna lie, I have a feeling Thomas Harper goes first round.
Dude, so do I. I have a hardcore him and really the Dragon Con folk. Like
I think Dragon Con players will be the first rookies off the board. And I know Rick Radis has said he's like, I would hate to see. It's like, no, those ones you got to understand that if they go ahead of you, it's rightfully so.
The Star Wars people
they are trying to take down Alex Damon.
They may be taken before Allura, before hypothetically if he falls into the draft, which according to us he won't, but like a Demolanta, and Demolanta's a title shot. But these players are coming in hot, proven to beat Alex Damon before. They're competing at to what some may think a higher level at DragonCon compared to here in regards to trivia, because they're covering the whole canon instead of the movies, like the Schmoedown is. But I would. I know we're not going to come to a consensus, but I really do think that the Den is in the hardest. I shouldn't say hardest. They're in the most flexible position out of everyone here. Their future's the most up in the air. ASG in the chat. I don't think Harper's going first round. We might think high of them, but managers are going to take Demolanta, Damon, Kelly before them.
But two of those names are most likely going to be off the board after free agency. That's what our thinking right here is. Our thought pattern is right here. ASG. That's our thought.
Demolanta. I think Demolanta is going to go to the exchange.
Yeah, and then also even Frankie Numbers himself has even said, I think Thomas Harper might be going first round. Frankie Numbers.
I think Molly will fall into the draft.
Yes.
I think Kelly will fall into the draft. I'll be surprised. I'm not even a front. I'll be surprised if Lord gets picked up somehow, some way on Friday in the free agency. Yeah. I will be. Demolanta, like you already mentioned, is going to the exchange. But besides that, I mean, Ace, how are we going to do this? Are you going to view Thomas Harper's reputation over Ace's proven commodity in the Schmoedown this past year? That's a great point, ASG. I totally get it.
I'm not taking away from what ASG just said because he's got a valid point.
I still think Thomas is going to go first round or early second at the latest.
I think all Star Wars second, all those Dragon Con players will be gone by the second round.
After what Marie just said.
Yeah, Roxy may end up taking one because if we're having a Star Wars tournament and Alex ain't the champ.
You need representation. You need to be in there.
Yeah, and Alex is a champ. You need that representation. And here's the thing. I think what may put all three Dragon Con players above Molly.
That's bold, ASG. That's bold.
I think what puts all three of the Dragon Con players above Molly, even though Molly has played in the Schmoedown, is the fact we know they've beaten Alex.
Sure. Yeah. Dude, okay. So to ASG's point in the chat, I think Harper's going to be the first pick of the second round. And I wouldn't be shocked.
I think if she loses out on Kelly, he fills that spot perfectly. I would not be shocked.
And that's, oh my God, I would love Thomas Harper on Corruption so much. So say hypothetically what you said goes through, right? So Kate somehow convinces Marisol to be in a signing trade with Corruption. Shannon trades the 4 picks this year and next year over to the Den and because and then you draft Kelly with the 3rd pick. Okay, great. And then you immediately draft Thomas. That's one hell of a 6. That's half the team. That's half your faction, and it's Collins, Kalinowski, Ellison, McKee, Kelly, and Thomas Harper. Oh my God. That's insane. But at the same time, that's how these teams are going to be looking. Come the draft, around the 3rd or 4th round, we're going to get a feeling of where this is going to go, and it's going to be insane. Because all these rooks we're talking to, whether it's the David Campbells, the Jesse Swifts, right? All these folks that we're talking to, they're
and we have to stop and think there's going to be more rooks added on Friday that we don't know about.
Because these proven competitors are going to fall into the draft because they don't get top 24 stats. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to see, who would you rather pick? Hypothetically, would you rather take a Thomas Harper, or an Alon Baralde? You know what I mean? It's going to be places like that. And And we're just talking about.
I think Alonzo Duralde is the first pick of the draft.
Woo! That's how it's coming out with that take, boy. You think Alonzo Duralde is the first pick of the draft?
He hasn't missed a second round question in 2 years.
How many matches has he competed in, though?
So I think between Paddington 2, the teams this year, and his singles debut, it's like a total of 6 or 7 matches.
Like, holy hell. Dude, you think Alonso's going to go first? Alonso totally has number 1 pick potential.
Like, he is one of the most slept-on players.
He'll probably go first round.
He's going top 5. I would put money on that right now.
On top 5. Because who would you take before him, hypothetically?
Maybe a Brandon Hanna, but that's
Brandon's three. It's
he's
3 divisions.
Yeah.
3 divisions.
He's 3 divisions, and that's why I say you can argue him. But Alonzo's 2. So because he wants to do more singles, you can.
For all we know, Alonzo may be signed on Friday.
He could be, and it would be. What if Kate signs him? That would be a swing for the fences based off of what we've seen of him. Sorry, I forgot Kaiser. Yeah, Video Drew will be the first pick if Kaiser's picking. Yes, especially with how she's.
Yeah, ASG. I mean,
and getting
Video
to her a couple weeks ago, she has this new commitment. Even though it wasn't on this show, it was on Really Scared, hosted by the Regent himself, Taylor Cleek.
Damn right.
Tomorrow,
8 p.m. Eastern.
Yes, tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, where they have Jacob Horn, a independent filmmaker, talking about. I forget what movie they're talking about.
It's in the group chat, or it's in the. I shouldn't not the group chat. It's in the comments.
It's Dead by Dawn. Deadbeat at Dawn.
Yes.
But yeah, I got to talk to Video Drew a little bit that night before the show and after the show. She has this fire that I've never seen out of her, and I'm loving it. So,
would you take her before Duralde?
I wouldn't personally.
Respect.
But if Kaiser's the one picking, I could see it happening because he wants to keep her, and he's made that known.
So we've been seeing all them videos that Kaiser and Hannah have been putting out the last few weeks. Does that confirm Hannah's going to the dungeon?
No, he's working as an independent contractor. He said in the last video.
We're taking the independent contractor route. God. So say hypothetically what we say with the dungeon pans out. Robert Parker is the only lock in the dungeon, in my eyes.
Yes.
Preston and Bateman, as fun as it would sound on paper, it's not a lock.
Yep.
Although I have a
feeling. I have a good feeling that's what's going to happen. Because that if Bateman wants to do it is 60 days, and I'll be the Star Wars, be a Star Wars competitor thing. You got your Star Wars player. You got your 2 singles, a team, and you got Robert Parker as your IG. You got 4 divisions covered right there.
On backstage, this was a while ago.
I know it was a couple weeks ago. He's like, I'm taking it back.
Shit in the chat, and what's it call it? Yeah, Bateman ain't doing Star Wars this year. That ain't happening, especially with this new crop of talent. Hell no. But Bateman and Preston as a team together would be freaking incredible. I love to see that. Parker being your inner geekdom person who sat out most of the year because of circumstances. So
I know he's not ASG. I'm just giving Bateman shit.
Yeah, as much as Bateman, he can try. But with this new crop, bro, like
I think Bateman's looking at this new crop and be like, I take back everything I said.
Yeah, like talking to Burkett, talking to Harper, talking to Wilson half an hour ago. Hell no. Like, don't do that, man. Don't do that to yourself. But no, and what there, Jesus Christ, the den's the biggest question mark, because we will have no idea what Kate's doing because the culture of the den is the only culture that has changed between Spectacular and now, because Kate had her little moment when firing Grace. So she's not going to be that same character. She won't be putting on the same persona. Thank God. But I mean, that's the only culture of a faction that we don't know. So we know what to expect out of Sam, out of the dungeon, out of the Mercs. We know what to expect. The Den, though, Kate will set the precedent on Friday for what the future of the Den will be. 1,000,000%. And once we find out those 3 names on Friday, Then we can come back. We can come on the show next week, and we can run wild about the draft and how that's going to pan out for all these factions.
Mm-hmm. Maybe get a few people on for a mock draft. We'll see. We got to reach out to a few people.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of mock draft, I mean, we are doing a mock draft. This won't be here because on Friday.
Friday after this free agency special, whenever that may end, we will be on. Let's get ready to do their draft special. We're going to do a mock draft with them. We have our factions that we are put in charge of. Chris has a nice surprise in store for you guys for Friday. I may have one myself. Only time will tell.
It's going to be a good time over there at the Let's Get Ready Network. They're so kind to invite us. Yes. Matt and I, we both said yes with the greatest of ease. A mock draft based off the straight up results of how they pan out on Friday. So Matt and I, we both have our factions assigned to us already. Do not disclose those. Y'all will find that out when you watch on Friday. But I am so jazzed to see how it all pans out, because how can we properly fill out a faction that we don't know who's going to be in it?
I feel like I'm based on. So people have opposing views on what the perfect spot in the fantasy draft will be, or is. I know what mine are, and based off of mine, I am in the perfect spot, so I'm happy.
I'm confident. I'll say that's all I'm going to say about what I have for that mock draft. We're really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like what Matt said, I have some fun things going on planned. If you are a fan of LGR, if you do watch their programming, I highly recommend watching this Friday. Not only because we're going to be on, but I'm going to be acting up.
We got a host of people on. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We have one of our homies from Schmoedown in the North. He'll be on as well, and obviously all the folks over there from Let's Get Ready. But
yes,
I mean, in conclusion, to sum up the conversation, the Den, like, we don't know. We won't know. ASG in the chat one more time. He says, I like the Merc spot if they weren't keeping Smith. If it was Shazam and Mara, they might be my favorite spot. Oh,
yeah, I would agree there. I don't know if I agree if it was more. I think if it could be almost any other competitor, and it would be a better setup.
Because let's be real, we all understand why Kevin Smith is at third spot.
Yes,
we don't have to disclose it, but
I understand why people like Mara.
I mean, initially when we first did this list a month ago, I had Mara going back to the Mercs, and then this whole Kevin Smith stuff was wow.
And then
brother.
She's kind of made it known she'd prefer to be elsewhere. Like she's hinted at she wouldn't mind being elsewhere.
But I think she needs because she was with the Mercs last season, just not officially. She didn't play. She was officially on the team play. But I think Mara does need a new group to go into, a fresh start in the Schmoedown, and where that's going to be. Right now, according to my board, it's the Den, but who the hell knows? I would love, and I believe Mara said she'd love to be on a faction that's led by a woman, which would be ideal. I would love for Mara to go to the Den.
Roxy?
Could it be Roxy? Like, does Roxy drop Damon, and does Damon go elsewhere? Because Damon's top 24. But
I'm sorry, you don't drop the Star Wars player. And especially because he does play IG. He does play IG.
Yeah, I think Snyder and Draco and Damon is you're starting off with two champs, the tag champs and the Star Wars champ. Yes. Like how else do you break away from that? So I mean, but who knows? That's something gaining some traction. I don't buy it, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, no, I have to fight off the urge to even contemplate it. So we'll see.
Yeah. And before we go, just a reminder: next Wednesday is our last day episode. That is right. Next Wednesday is the last Wednesday episode. After next Wednesday, we are moving to Mondays. Monday, February 1st. First day we are in our new spot, our new home. No more me having to run every other week to get groceries from the car and everything. we're looking the same two guys doing the show. We're just changing days, same time too. We're not changing same time. Yes,
5 p.m. Central, 10 Eastern. Going to be on this very channel on the social medias. But if you forget, or if you just want more updates on what we got going on, follow our social medias at the bottom. Spin from the Reel is down there.
Hey, YouTube page actually has a name up top now. It's great. It's not just look up the Who Are They Real Entertainment YouTube. It's youtube.com/Who Are They Real Entertainment. So go ahead and hit that up. Like, subscribe, follow, all that fun stuff.
All that fun stuff.
Signing off, I guess. I'm Matt.
And my name is Chris Anthony Lopez.
The
follow
personality.
Us. Yep. The personality. Follow us everywhere. Like us.
And this was another episode of Spin from the Real. Remember, folks, spin from the real, not the peg. Have a good night.
Bye.
Peace.